Just minutes from the center of Manaus lies a residential area without streets or cars, where people travel by boat and generations have lived in houses floating on the river. This is not a remote village in the Amazon rainforest, but one of the world's most unique urban communities. Manaus is famous for its Amazon rainforest, but just beyond the city skyline lies a floating community where thousands of people live, work, and build their lives entirely on the water. Number 10. A city without streets. Just minutes from the center of Manaus, the streets suddenly disappear. There are no intersections, no traffic lights, and not even solid ground. Instead, narrow canals connect hundreds of floating houses, turning the waterway into the neighborhood's only transportation network. Here, boats are as essential as cars are in other cities. Every morning, the canals bustle with activity. Small wooden boats weave between the floating houses, carrying workers, students, goods, gas cylinders, and food. Some boats function as taxis, picking up and dropping off passengers at nearby docks, while others deliver fresh fish, vegetables, and supplies directly to individual homes. The houses appear to float on the water. They are built on large logs or floating platforms, then anchored with ropes and wooden stakes to adapt to the year-round changing water levels. From a distance, the entire residential area gently sways with each wave. Everyday life quickly adapted to this unusual landscape. Children grew up learning to balance on the narrow docks before they could ride bicycles. Many residents could operate small motorboats before they were old enough to drive a car. Even simple things, like visiting a neighbor, often meant boarding a canoe instead of walking across the street. To outsiders, this settlement may seem fragile, but thousands of families have lived here for generations, building schools, shops, and an entire community on the water. And to survive, they must constantly adapt to the ever-changing river. How do they maintain an entire city? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and watch the whole video to find out the answer. Number 9. Living by a river that never stops changing. Building a residential area on the water is difficult, but living alongside a constantly changing river is even harder. Unlike lakes, the Rio Negro's water level rises and falls dramatically each year, creating one of the world's largest seasonal water cycles. During the rainy season, the river can rise by nearly 46 feet, about the height of a 4-story building. As the water rises, nearby forests gradually disappear beneath the surface, transforming familiar landscapes into a maze of flooded trees and narrow waterways. A few months later, things changed again. When the dry season arrived, the river's water level dropped, revealing muddy riverbanks and areas that had been submerged for months. Some canals became too shallow for large boats, forcing people to adjust their routes. Instead of fighting against nature, the people of Manaus have learned to work in harmony with it. The floating houses are designed to rise and fall with the river, maintaining balance regardless of the season. Life here doesn't revolve around clocks or calendars. It follows the rhythm of the Amazon rainforest itself, and that very rhythm determines how thousands of families make a living each day. Number 8. Floating economy. The river not only determines where people live, but also provides a source of livelihood. For the floating settlements of Manaus, the Amazon River serves as a workplace, a marketplace, and a source of income for thousands of families. Before dawn, fishermen paddle their wooden boats out onto the river to cast their nets. Depending on the season, they catch tambaki, tukunare, surubim, and giant pirarucu. Some are kept for their families, while the rest are sold to neighbors, at the floating market, or taken to the center of Manaus. Small boats carrying groceries ply the canals, selling rice, cooking oil, bread, fruit, bottled water, and even gas cylinders. Instead of walking to the supermarket, people simply wait for a familiar boat to dock in front of their house. It's a delivery system that has worked effectively for decades. Many families also earn additional income from the Amazon rainforest by harvesting acai, Brazil nuts, bananas, and cassava, and processing them into various traditional products for sale. Women play a particularly important role in the local economy. Many run small businesses right from their floating homes, serving home-cooked meals, cutting hair, repairing clothes, or selling snacks to passing boats. Here, each sunrise brings a new opportunity to earn a living, and each trip on the water contributes to sustaining this unique floating economy. Number 7. The water bus is real. In Manaus, the river itself is the key element that keeps everything running smoothly. Boats are not only a backup option, but also the primary transportation system, connecting the floating communities on the river with the rest of the city. In Manaus, the river serves as the main public transport system. From morning till night, boats bustle back and forth, with canoes taking locals to the docks and larger boats carrying workers to the city center. These waterways are always bustling. Cargo boats deliver food, water, fuel, building materials, and household goods to communities inaccessible to trucks. Children also depend on the river for their daily commute to school. Many go with their parents, while others share boats with neighbors. For those who live here, learning to navigate a boat is almost a basic life skill. Before many teenagers are old enough to drive cars, they already know how to confidently navigate the Amazon waterways. Tourists are often amazed by the incredibly natural way these boatmen navigate these waterways. There are no lane markings, traffic lights, or road signs, yet experienced boatmen move smoothly through the narrow canals with surprising precision, slowing down near houses and avoiding waves that could damage floating structures. Number 6. Schools. Growing up in a floating neighborhood. For some students, this trip meant that many schools serving these communities were designed to adapt to the changing conditions of the river. Some schools are situated on floating platforms, while others are built on elevated stilts, remaining accessible even during seasonal floods. Teachers face similar challenges to their students, often having to travel by boat each morning regardless of heavy rain or fluctuating water levels. Some journeys last only a few minutes, others travel much further, navigating narrow canals before reaching floating docks or schools built along the riverbanks. During the rainy season, rising water levels create new shortcuts through the flooded forests, but when the river level drops, those paths may disappear, forcing children to travel longer and slower distances. Number 5. The Amazon region. For most people, seeing wildlife requires a trip to a national park or zoo. In the floating river settlements of Manaus, Wildlife is simply a part of everyday life. One of the most famous visitors is the pink river dolphin, known locally as such. Unlike in the ocean, these freshwater mammals glide silently through the dark waters of the Rio Negro, sometimes surfacing just meters from passing boats. They have become symbols of the Amazon and are surrounded by local legends passed down through generations. The forest is equally vibrant. Macaws, parrots, toucans, kingfishers, and colorful storks constantly chirp, while monkeys are often seen moving through the treetops near the flooded forest. During the dry season, crocodiles sometimes lie quietly, resting along the muddy riverbanks, blending into their surroundings so well that visitors may not notice them until they are just a short distance away. Living close to nature also means learning to respect it. Residents know which areas are safe to swim in, where the currents are dangerous, and which animals should never be disturbed. Children grow up recognizing birds by their songs and understanding rivers as easily as city children read street signs. In most places, nature begins where the city ends. Number 4. When the river becomes your supermarket. For the thousands of families living in the floating settlements of Manaus, it is also their local supermarket. Much of what appears on their tables comes directly from the surrounding water and rainforest. Fish is the cornerstone of almost every meal. Popular species like tambaqui, tucunaré, and surubim are caught fresh daily and prepared in countless ways, from grilled fillets to hearty stews served with rice and cassava flour. During certain seasons, giant pirarucu become a valuable catch, providing enough meat to feed an entire family or generating significant income at local markets. Shopping here is completely different. Instead of driving to the grocery store, people usually buy food from the boats that travel along the canals every day. Small vendors anchor alongside floating houses, selling vegetables, fruits, bread, ice, and fresh fish, hawking their wares, while neighbors gather on their porches. It's a floating market that has been in operation for generations. Number 3. Life without modern infrastructure. Despite adapting well to the Amazon region, many floating settlements still lack modern infrastructure. Clean water is one of the biggest challenges. So many families have to collect rainwater for daily use. Other households rely on bottled water, transported by boat whenever they can afford it. Electricity is another daily uncertainty. While some areas are now connected to the public grid, power outages are frequent, and not all floating residential areas have a reliable power supply. Waste management presents another challenge. Without a complete wastewater treatment system, protecting public health and the surrounding river remains a difficult problem. Community cleanup efforts are becoming increasingly important, with people working together to remove floating debris and keep small canals clear. However, despite these obstacles, daily life continues. Electricity is still available, meals are still cooked, and children still go to school. This reminds us that survival here depends not only on the river, but also on the determination and ingenuity of the people who live here. Number 2. Just minutes from the city center. One of the biggest surprises about the floating settlements in Manaus isn't their appearance, but their location. Many people imagine these communities nestled deep in the Amazon rainforest, days' distance from civilization. In reality, they are just minutes from the center of Manaus, a modern city with over 2 million inhabitants. The contrast is almost unbelievable. On one side are shopping malls, highways, hotels, universities, an international airport, and the iconic Amazonas Theater. But after just a short boat ride, the paved road disappears, giving way to a completely different rhythm of life. In just a few minutes, the sounds of traffic are replaced by the sounds of the Amazon rainforest. Few cities on Earth offer such an extraordinary contrast. Within just a few miles, you can go from towering skyscrapers and bustling commercial districts to a community where boats replace cars and the river serves as all the roads. And despite all the challenges these communities have overcome, their greatest strength lies not in their geographical location, but in the people who support each other every day. Number 1. Self-sustaining community. If there's one reason these floating communities have survived for generations, it's not modern infrastructure or government support. It's the people. In a place where life constantly changes with the river, neighbors understand that helping each other isn't an option, but a way to survive. When a house begins to tilt, sink, or drift out of place, people nearby often rush to its aid. They work together to replace damaged logs, tighten mooring ropes, repair the pier, and reinforce the walkway before things become dangerous. Visitors might notice the wooden houses, the narrow canals, or the boats replacing cars. But the true foundation of this floating city doesn't lie beneath the floors. It lies in the bonds between the people who live on the water. Manaus is more than just a city built alongside the Amazon River. It's two completely different worlds coexisting. One is a sprawling area of highways, shopping malls, and modern buildings. The other quietly drifts on the river's dark waters, blending into the rhythm of the Amazon itself. For many, this floating city isn't a tourist attraction. It's simply home. Next, let's travel to Bangladesh, a country larger than a giant anthill. But that's not what makes it extraordinary. It has some of the worst air quality in the world. Millions of people were exposed to contaminated drinking water in what has been described as the largest mass arsenic poisoning incident in human history. Yet, every day, more than 170 million people continue to live, work, raise families, and build one of Asia's fastest-growing economies. How is that possible? Sign up to find out more about what daily life is really like in Bangladesh. Number 10. Breathing the world's dirtiest air. Imagine arriving in Bangladesh. The first thing many people notice isn't the crowds or the blaring car horns everywhere. It's the air. After just a few minutes standing on the streets of Dhaka, many tourists describe feeling the dust and smoke entering their noses with every breath. The sky is often shrouded in a hazy mist, but it's not natural fog. It's a mixture of fine particulate matter, coal smoke, vehicle emissions, and smoke from thousands of factories operating almost all day long. For many consecutive years, Bangladesh has consistently ranked among the countries with the worst air quality in the world. During the dry season, when rainfall drops sharply and winds weaken, PM2.5 concentrations can rise many times higher than the levels recommended by the World Health Organization. The worrying thing is that these dust particles are so small that they are almost invisible to the human eye. They are only about 1/30th the size of a human hair, small enough to penetrate deep into the lungs, enter the bloodstream, and over time increase the risk of respiratory diseases, cardiovascular disease, stroke, and even cancer. Number 9. The brick kilns never stop burning. Looking down from above at the Dhaka suburbs during the dry season, you'll easily spot hundreds of tall chimneys rising from the fields. During the day, they continuously spew out columns of gray smoke, At night, many places are still ablaze with flames that never go out. These are the brick kilns, an industry that has become the foundation of Bangladesh's urbanization. For decades, construction in Bangladesh has been at a breakneck pace. To build another city, you first need bricks, and Bangladesh produces tens of billions of bricks annually to meet that demand. It is estimated that there are around 7,000 brick kilns operating throughout the country, concentrated most heavily around the capital Dhaka. During the construction season, many kilns operate almost 24 hours a day, but the price to pay is also extremely high. Most traditional brick kilns still use coal, wood, firewood, and even low-quality fuels to maintain temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Celsius for days on end. The smoke from the combustion process is full of fine dust, sulfur, nitrogen oxides, and a host of other pollutants. Notably, many old brick kilns almost entirely lack modern exhaust gas treatment systems. All of that smoke is released directly into the atmosphere. But paradoxically, Bangladesh cannot easily eliminate them either. The brick manufacturing industry provides jobs for hundreds of thousands of workers, from clay mining, transportation, mold making to firing and distribution. For many poor families, working in the brick kilns is a rare source of stable income. Number 8. The world's largest water poisoning incident. While air pollution is visible to the naked eye, the clean water crisis in Bangladesh is dangerous in a completely different way. It's almost invisible. For years, millions of people have drunk water they believe to be safe. But the reality is quite the opposite. During the 1970s and 1980s, Bangladesh faced a serious problem. Water from ponds and rivers was frequently contaminated with bacteria, leading to outbreaks of diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and diarrhea. To address this situation, millions of shallow wells were drilled across the country. The initial idea was simple. Taking water from underground would be cleaner than surface water. But then scientists discovered a terrifying truth. Groundwater in many areas contain naturally occurring arsenic at levels far exceeding safe limits. This meant that millions of people were unknowingly drinking poison every day. Number 7. Rivers turn black. Bangladesh is a country of rivers. Over 700 rivers crisscross the country, creating one of the world's largest waterway networks. For centuries, they have carried silt, nourished fields, provided fish, and served as the most important means of transportation for millions of people. In many areas, especially around the capital Dhaka, the green color of the rivers has gradually disappeared. Instead, there is a thick, black color. It's not the color of mud. It's a mixture of domestic wastewater, industrial chemicals, oil, grease, dyes, and garbage dumped into the rivers every day. Most seriously affected is the Baraganga River, once considered the lifeblood of Dhaka. Hundreds of years ago, it was the busiest trading route in the region. Boats crowded the waterways, fishermen lived along both banks, and the fish resources were almost inexhaustible. Today, many sections of the river are black like oil. On hot days, the foul odor from the river can spread hundreds of meters away. Experts say that every day, thousands of cubic meters of untreated wastewater from residential and industrial areas continue to flow directly into the rivers around Dhaka. Number 6. Fashion that pollutes an entire nation. When you walk into a clothing store in New York, London, or Tokyo, chances are you'll see the words "Made in Bangladesh" on the label. Today, Bangladesh is the world's second-largest exporter of apparel, after China. Each year, this industry generates tens of billions of dollars and creates jobs for approximately 4 million workers, the majority of whom are women. For Bangladesh, garment manufacturing is more than just a production sector. It is a driving force for the growth of the entire economy. But to produce the billions of shirts, jeans, and jackets that appear in stores around the world, Bangladesh has also paid a huge price. It all starts with the dyeing factories. Before a shirt can be blue, black, or red, the fabric roll must go through dozens of different processing steps: bleaching, dyeing, washing, softening, and color fixing. Each step consumes a huge amount of water and many types of industrial chemicals. Multiply that number by billions of products each year. Sign up to understand why the textile industry is one of Bangladesh's biggest water consumers. Even more concerning is that not all of this water is treated properly. For years, wastewater from textile dyeing factories has carried synthetic dyes, bleach, salts, acids, and heavy metals directly into the surrounding rivers. There are stretches of river where the water color changes according to the color of the fabric dyed that day. Today, it might be blue. Tomorrow, it will turn red. A few days later, it might be purple or black. This is not a natural phenomenon. It is a trace of the production process. Number 5. Living next to a toxic water source. The polluted rivers lead many to believe this place is not worth living in. But the reality is quite the opposite. Along the Buriganga River and many other waterways around Dhaka, tens of thousands of people still live there every day. From early morning, hundreds of wooden boats began to leave the docks. Some carried passengers, others transported vegetables, building materials, coal, or goods between markets. Large ferries constantly docked, taking thousands of people across the river every hour. The water was almost never still. Many families live right on the boats that have been moored here for years. The space is only a few square meters, but it serves as the eating, sleeping, and living area for an entire family. Their days are intertwined with the river. They cook on boats. They wash clothes at the water's edge. They transport goods. And they spend almost their entire lives on the river. Not just on the river. Along both banks, numerous densely populated residential areas have also been established over the years. Life goes on normally amidst bustling docks, repair shops, wholesale markets, and narrow alleys always crowded with people. Everything is connected to this place. That's also why, despite the difficult living conditions, the riverside areas remain among the most densely populated in Dhaka. Number 4. The city that never stops honking. After leaving the bustling riverside docks, you'll quickly realize that Bangladesh has another kind of pollution. You don't see it, but you certainly hear it. In Dhaka, the honking of car horns is almost incessant. From early morning, as millions of people begin to pour onto the streets for work, the entire city is engulfed in the sounds of buses, trucks, cars, motorcycles, and especially hundreds of thousands of rickshaws. Every intersection is jammed with vehicles. Every time a gap appears, a vehicle immediately rushes into it. And almost everyone uses their horn to signal their approach. After a few minutes, the individual horns merge into a chaotic cacophony that lasts for hours. Number 3. When trash has become part of the landscape. After hours of traveling on the busy streets of Dhaka, one thing is hard not to notice. Trash is everywhere. In the alleys, along the canals, under the bridges, and even right in front of the bustling markets. For many tourists, this is perhaps one of the most striking images when they first set foot in Bangladesh. It's worth noting that most of this trash doesn't appear overnight. It's created little by little throughout the day. Millions of such small items are used every day in a city with over 20 million inhabitants. Number 2. Markets built on railway tracks. And amidst that bustling city, there's a place where life unfolds in an even more unique way. These are the markets situated right next to the railway tracks, where trading only pauses for a few seconds each time a train speeds past. Every day, hundreds of trains carrying passengers and goods travel across the country. But in Dhaka and some other cities, certain sections of the railway have developed in a very unique way. Small stalls gradually appeared along the tracks. Then more shops followed. Over time, an entire market formed. All of this coexists right next to where the trains still run every day. Number 1. Why do millions stay? If life is so difficult, why do millions continue to stay? The first answer is simple. This is their homeland. Bangladesh is a testament to the two sides of development. On one side is a rapidly growing economy with millions of jobs. On the other side is the environmental price the entire country is paying. What makes Bangladesh memorable is not just the level of pollution, but the resilience of millions of people trying to live and work every day in conditions that many other places can hardly imagine.